Hey Tech Math, here are the notes for 8.12, talking about calculating loan payments. So sooner or later in your personal life or in your line of work, if you own your own business, you will need to borrow money. Typical personal loans involve student loans, borrowing money for a car, maybe for a house, and business loans are frequently taken out for a new business startup, maybe expansion, or even new equipment. Since there are so many variables that need to be considered, the ability to calculate different combinations of interest rates and the length of loans will help you make an informed decision that meets your budget constraints, which we talked about in the previous video. So below is a portion of a loan table, also known as an amortization table. So if we look at this here, what this essentially says that in terms of years, we have our interest rate here and then we have our years across the top. And the thing that I want you to notice about this table is that this is the monthly payments required to finish a $1,000 loan. If we start talking about larger loans, we may have to adjust or take into account how much larger that loan is. So the first example here, what is the monthly payment on a $1,000 loan at 8% interest for 2 years? Well, first of all, we're already good to go as far as the $1,000 loan because that's what this table is created for. There are other tables for different amounts of loans, but this is a really nice one because, like we'll see in example 2, it's really easy to just multiply or divide based on how large our loan is. So let's go back to it. At 8% interest, that means we're going to be looking at this bottom row because 8% is our interest rate. And then it says for 2 years, so we're going to look in our 2-year category. So we essentially just find out where these two meet, and we find out that our monthly payment is going to be $45.23. So $45.23 is our answer. So 2 years is this part of the table. 8% is this part of the table. So anytime I want to find the monthly payment, I can just look on this table and find the two pieces I need. Now let's look at what happens when a $1,000 loan is bigger than what the table gives us. So what will the monthly payments be on a car loan of $13,000 at an interest rate of 7.5%? That one's right here. For 5 years. All right, so we look at 7.5 interest, we go over to the 5-year category, and we see that it's going to be a $20.04 loan payback. So if this were a $1,000 loan, our payment would be $20.04. But because it's a $13,000 loan, what this essentially says is that our payment is going to be 13 times higher per month. So what I do is I bring my calculator in and I say 20.04 times 13 is going to equal a monthly payment of $260.04. So to find bigger loan amounts, we just multiply. So multiply by 13 to get what it would be. So let's look a little further into this. What would happen if we changed the conditions of the loan? Well, sometimes you may need to refinance. So in the table below, we're going to determine the total amount of interest paid if your interest rate was 6.5 instead of the 7.5 like we were just talking about. Next, we're going to determine the amount of interest paid on the same loan if you shorten the payment period to 3 years instead of 5. So essentially what this is going to look at is, depending on how we change our loan, we change different how much we're going to end up paying to borrow that money long term. So let's look at this. Excuse me. If we have a $13,000 loan at 6.5 interest for 5 years, let's look at what our monthly payment would be based on our table. We find our 6.5, we go over to our 5, we find that's $19.57, but that is for a $1,000 loan. If we want to find it for $13,000, we have to multiply again. So I'm going to take it and say 19.57 times 13 is going to equal 254.41. And that's for 5 years. So the total amount to be paid, we just find by then multiplying those and adding them up. We'll do that in just a minute. Let's find out how much we're going to be paying if we pay for a shorter amount of time at the same interest rate. If we do that for 3 years, we still go to the 6.5, but we look into this 3-year category and we say it is 30.65 for a $1,000 loan. For a $13,000 loan, it's going to be $398.45. So we multiply this. I'm going to do this column first and then I'll jump back. Oh my goodness, you can't see it. There we go. I'm going to multiply this by those monthly payments. So that's 12 payments a year for 3 years. So it's going to be a total amount paid of 14. I wish you could see the calculator and this, but it's hard to do while I'm writing. So the total amount paid in this case will be $14,344.20 minus the original loan, which was $13,000. So my total interest paid over 3 years at an interest rate of 6.5% is going to be $1,344.20. Now let's jump back into this category where we had the same interest rate, but we decided to pay it off over more years so that our monthly payment was lower. We're going to take that 254 times 4.1. It's 12 payments a year for 5 years. So in total, we're going to pay $15,264.60. If we want to figure out how much interest we paid, we have to subtract the original amount, just like we did in the other table. And we find that we pay $2,264.60. So let's just talk about these and compare. If we do a higher interest rate for 5 years, we're going to pay quite a bit of money. If we have a shorter or a smaller interest rate for a shorter amount of time, obviously our interest rate's going to go down. If we can find that nice interest rate and we can pay it off at the higher monthly payments, we are going to have the lowest overall interest paid. So our big takeaways from this are find a low interest rate. These are really important. And then the second thing is pay off quickly. The monthly payments that you can afford are what you should pay. If you can afford to do a $400 monthly payment, even though the $254 payment gives you a little bit more spending cash, overall you're going to be saving yourself quite a bit of money just in the amount of interest you save. All right, if you have any questions about amortization tables or schedules, please let me know.